How do you do, gentlemen and ladies, I might add? Pardon my appearance. I'm somewhat damp and in need of fresh clothing, but I can't imagine you look so much better if you were shipped from Richmond, Virginia to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That's right, 27-hour span. In this box, just a little water, a couple of biscuits, and my drill for air holes. As for this side up, that's a laugh. In my time, I was mostly upside down. Why, you may ask, I'm doing this? Well, as an enslaved person, I was filled with hardship and suffering, but I bore it. That is until the slave master sold my wife, Nancy, with child to my 3 young children. I watched them being led away down the street in chains, along with 350 others. Can you imagine? After the saddest and loneliest months, I dared death itself for the prospects of freedom. So, thanks to my box and a few brave anti-slavery folk, here I am in Philadelphia, ready for a taste of freedom.
Good day, I'm Harriet Jacobs, born into slavery in 1813. I lived with my family until the age of 6 when my mother died. I was separated from my father, but I was lucky. My owner treated me kindly, taught me how to sew and even to read. 6 years passed, and you won't believe it, my owner died. She left me to her 5-year-old niece. Her jealous mother made my life unbearable. And her father, Dr. Norcombe, was an evil, abusive man, always reminding me that I was his property. He may have had the law on his side, but I had a determined will. So after many years of suffering, I escaped to my grandmother's house during a violent storm. My friends hid me in a swamp full of mosquitoes and the largest snakes I had ever seen. Finally, when it was safe, they led me to this attic my uncle had made for me. As I entered this small, cramped space, I had no way of knowing that 7 years would pass before I would ever get to enjoy fresh air or the light of day again.
My name is Frederick Washington Augustus Bailey, and I will take my freedom. My mother, Harriet Bailey, from what I've learned, could read and write, but I only saw her 3 or 4 times by the age of 7. I know I have brothers and sisters, but they were sold off to plantations like they were no more than a horse or a cow. But I too have learned how to read. Mistress Auld didn't know that teaching me to read was against Master Auld's wishes, but once I began to learn, I could not stop. I planned my freedom 2 years earlier, but was betrayed by a fellow slave. My next plan is to take the train to Baltimore, but this time with the help of a free black sailor. I will use his sailor's pass, and could I be betrayed again? That's a risk I must take. I've been given a red shirt, a black hat, and a scarf, just like black sailors wear. I don't look anything like his picture on this pass, but the Gold Eagle tells me that I will be a free man. Anna will give me some money, and we will meet at the house of an abolitionist friend, David Ruggles. Anna is a free black woman with manumation papers. She can travel safely, and when we meet, by the grace of God, we will be married, and I'm ready to risk it all to leave this horrible pit of life. Then I will change my name, and I will begin a new life with Anna.
Greetings. Come join my train. I'm Harriet Tubman. I've been conductor of the Underground Railroad for 8 years now, and I say I've never run my train off the track, and I've never lost a passenger. Let's begin our journey to the doors of Rochester. There are some people I'd like you to meet. Keep your wits about you and listen carefully, for not all friendly folk, and some downright dangerous. On the Underground Railroad and in fields, slaves sent messages through codes put into songs. Sing along if you like. When the sun comes back and the first quail calls, follow the drinking gourd. I'd like you to meet our first Rochesterian, Anna Douglas. Believe Mr. Douglas is out of town speaking on a tour.
Welcome to the Douglas Home. I'm Anna Douglas. My parents were free from slavery just before I was born, so I was born into freedom, unlike my husband Frederick. Our family is always being watched. I fear for our safety, for our home. Once it was burned down to the ground. We saved what we could. I fear for my husband Frederick when he leaves to work on his newspaper, The North Star, or when he travels to speak for our people's freedoms at abolitionist meetings. My husband Frederick has the power to move people with his words. I so admire him.
If you were a runaway slave, do you think you would feel safe knocking on a Douglas door? Why or why not? If you have a Freedom Seekers worksheet, record your impression of Anna Douglas now. Is she safe and sympathetic to your mission, or is meeting her dangerous for you?
When the great big river meets the little river, follow the drinking gourd.
As we meet Rochesterians, record your answer to whether meeting them is helpful or harmful to you as freedom seekers. I'll hold up my lantern to remind you. Next, let's meet Lucy Anthony. You may know of her daughter.
Good day. Have you heard of my daughter, Susan? You may know her as Susan B. Anthony. I'm her mother, Lucy Anthony. Her father, Daniel, and I are so proud of her. This is her family home. We hold abolitionist meeting here. This is a station, a safe home on the way to freedom. Being abolitionist is very dangerous at this time. That is why we are thankful for conductors like yourself, Mrs. Tubman, and stockholders that give money to our cause of freedom. You know, Susan grew up in Quaker way, believing all men and women are created equally.
Would this be a safe place on your journey? Why or why not?
For the old man is a-waiting for to carry you to freedom if you follow the drinking gourd.
Our next stop is to meet Mr. Horatio Gates Warner, publisher of The Observer. It's another Rochester newspaper, and I tell you, it's nothing like the North Star.
It's against the law to hide runaways. That's what I say. I'm a lawyer. I know and follow the law. You have a right to your slaves. You paid for them and they're your property. If I catch a runaway, off to the sheriff he'll go. And another thing, my daughter will never share a classroom with Mr. Douglas's daughter if I have anything to say about it. And believe me when I tell you, many people agree with me.
Would this be a safe place for you on your mission? Why or why not?
When the sun comes back and the first quail calls, follow the drinking gourd.
Let's stop at one more home. It belongs to a Quaker family, the Post.
Amy, this house is always filled with people.
You're right, Isaac. Thank heavens Harriet Jacobs lives with us now and can run our reading room. Just this morning, 25 people came to my anti-slavery society meeting.
On top of that, an upwards of 12 dear souls will hide in our basement this very night. I'm sure our son Jacob would be pleased to provide extra food and blankets on this cold night.
We will make a change with the help of our dear friends, the Douglases.
Would this be a safe place for you on your mission to freedom? Why or why not?
For the old man is a-waiting for to carry you to freedom if you follow the drinking gourd.
Oh, look who's over yonder. It's Mr. Munn, the elected official police officer in Rochester. Let's listen to what he has to say.
I'm the federal marshal. I am duty-bound to arrest all runaway slaves. This is a good job. I need it so I can provide for my family and children. But I don't agree with this new 1850 fugitive slave law. The government pays lots of money to people called bounty hunters to hunt down escaped freedom seekers. That law turns everyone into a slave catcher. That mean old lawyer Horatio Gates Warner thinks I'm on his side, but I'm not. I just can't do it. Even if I risk going to jail, I must try and help the runaways find their way to freedom. How long can I pretend to obey the law?
Will Mr. Munn help you on your way to freedom?
For the old man is a-waiting for to carry you to freedom if you follow the drinking gourd.
As we make our way to leave Rochester, our next stop may not be a door, but it's definitely on the runaway's path to freedom. Look, a conductor on the Underground Railroad left some things for those like us traveling to freedom. Can you imagine finding such treasures at the end of a long, exhausting, and frightening trip? How would you feel? I'll be making my leave now, but you have one more stop to make on your journey to freedom. You're to head outside the city of Rochester to Mrs. Bloss's woodshed out on his farm. Just follow the North Star until you get to the woodshed.
Welcome. I've been waiting for you. Tonight is the perfect night to take your final step on your journey to the promised land. Shh! Be quiet. You're not out of danger yet. We have to wait for my son's message, but until then, let's get you out of this rain. Come inside my woodshed. Did you hear that? That's my son's all clear sign. It's your time. You floated up the Kelsey's Landing on the Genesee River. Get in the boat, row up 3 miles, and you'll see a large boat. There it will take you to St. Catharines in Canada. May God bless you in your newfound freedom.
When the great big river meets the little river, follow the drinking gourd. For the old man is a-waiting for to carry you to freedom if you follow the drinking gourd. When the sun comes back and the first quail calls, follow the drinking gourd. For the old man is a-waiting for to carry you to freedom if you follow the drinking